I don't want you to tell us what you do. I want you to tell us who you are.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. Viewers are invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
I got it on tape and it was recording. Oh, there it is, over the left.
The speed was extraordinary.
Extraterrestrial life. For ages, humanity has wondered. Is there anything else in the cold darkness of space? Skeptics say there is no proof, but there have always been those who dared to dream. And some even claim to have seen things with their own eyes. Do aliens exist? Are they already here? Do they pose a threat or a chance for salvation?
Why do you say that UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying over our heads?
Well, because I know that they are. They've been, as a matter of fact, they've been visiting our planet for thousands of years. And one of the cases that would interest you most, if you give me 2 or 3 minutes to answer, is during the Cold War, 1961, there were about 50 UFOs in formation flying south from Russia to across Europe. And the Supreme Allied Commander was very concerned and about ready to press the panic button when they turned around and went back over the North Pole. So they decided to do an investigation, and they investigated for 3 years, and they decided that with absolute certainty that 4 different species at least, had been visiting this planet for thousands of years.
They were flying over the Fairbanks area around 5:15 in the afternoon when some strange things started to happen.
Investigative reporter and author Leslie Kean has written extensively on the UFO phenomena.
At first, Captain Tarachi looked out and saw some lights in the distance, and the co-pilot and the engineer saw them as well. He wasn't sure what they were, so he radioed in to ask whether there was any traffic in the area that he should know about.
Japan Air 1628.
Captain Terauchi contacts Anchorage Air Traffic Controller, Carl Henley.
Do you have any traffic?
Do you have any traffic? It's a question no air traffic controller wants to hear.
And when a controller hears these magic words, "You have traffic for me," usually a cold sweat breaks out because it means he's missed something.
In 1986, John Callahan was the Federal Aviation Administration's Division Chief of Accidents and Investigations.
Pilot's asking, is there somebody out here in front of me that I should know about or you know about? He's in positive airspace, which means nobody else can fly unless air traffic approves it.
It was only 3 or 4 down from the Admiral. I became the branch chief for the quality control. The quality control branch later on became a division, and I became a division chief, and they called it the Accidents Investigations Branch in Washington, D.C.
A UFO in China's skies forced Zhoushan Airport to stop operations on July 7th. Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified flying object was detected by a flight crew. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media, and theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you identify it?
That's undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. An aviation expert say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
Scientists from all over the world are trying to figure out what caused a mysterious blue light to spiral in the sky over Norway on Wednesday.
As UFO sightings go, this one was as good or as weird as it gets.
A light appearing high in the Arctic sky, baffling those who saw it and exciting a lot of comment. Early yesterday morning, just before dawn, this appeared in the Norwegian sky. A blue light, small at first, growing into a spiral, and then disappearing into what appeared to be a black hole. In the northern community of Trøndelag and on a Norwegian military base, cell phones snapped, video cameras rolled, and bloggers got busy.
The moon. Thousands of Norwegians bombarded the Meteorological Institute to ask what that light could have possibly been. Some feared it could have been a meteor, others a black hole, and there are even those that thought it could be aliens.
A strange spiralling white light was spotted in the early morning sky over Sydney, with even sceptical witnesses wondering if it was a UFO. The unusual sight was recorded by hundreds of people from Victoria north to Queensland.
A spiral in the sky around a bright light.
Scientists left baffled by an unexplained circular light seen hovering high over Moscow on Wednesday evening. People described seeing a wide circular formation in the sky. Footage capturing the spectacle will help whether scientists and specialists find an explanation for the event.
What was in the skies over Jerusalem? And why did it stop over one of the most treasured sites in Christianity?
Yeah, and that is the question, by the way, Megan, because, you know, critics, it's difficult for them to dismiss this because there are so many different angles. We've got 4 different videos, all from various perspectives, but they do not know of anything like this in the Israeli army.
All right, because listen, I don't like to be scared. I just can't take it. It's, you know, I don't know what it is.
Well, I wish I could give you an answer to this bizarre sighting. I really can't, but I can tell you that earlier today, there were dozens and dozens of people right here on 23rd and 8th. They were standing right here, and they were all in a stupor, just crowded together, looking into the sky.
Well, a lot of people are looking up. It's because of a mystery in the sky. Is it a balloon, a UFO? Well, whatever it is, it sure has a lot of people talking. Eyewitness News reporter Jeff DeGase is live in Chelsea, where crowds have gathered. Jeff, what's this all about?
Well, Sade, we don't know.
What, Larry? Oh my gosh! What the heck is that? What is that? Look at they joined. Oh my gosh.
Disclosure is very close, and the American people need to prepare themselves very soon for an announcement from our government that there is, in fact, an extraterrestrial presence engaging this planet and the human race.
I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that they're out there. Take a look at our galaxy. There are 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Now take a look at the galaxies of the universe. We can actually count them. In the visible universe, our telescopes have the range to see 100 billion galaxies. Well, how many stars are there in the visible universe? Count them. 100 billion times 100 billion. That is an astronomical number. You have to be supremely arrogant to believe that we are the only ones in town.
But that's just the visible universe. According to Michio, intelligent life might also exist in other dimensions. He calls this concept of extra-dimensional space string theory.
In string theory, we are forced to confront the idea of other dimensions. It is the only theory which has been able to unify all the laws of physics into a single coherent whole.
String theory proposes the existence of 11 extra dimensions. This might seem crazy, but apparently it allows physicists to make sense of the chaotic universe we live in.
From the top of the Empire State Building, I look down and I see the chaos of the streets, but I see it whole. I can see a unity, a coherence that you cannot see on the hustle and bustle of the street below.
So is it really possible alien life exists in some kind of parallel universe? And even if it did, how could they travel to our world?
Well, think about life in the universe. Scientists say the universe is so big, no one is ever going to be able to reach the Earth from the distant stars. There's an ultimate speed limit. You cannot go faster than the speed of light. However, Albert Einstein introduced the concept of wormholes.
Wormholes? No, not the mound of Earth messing your lawn, but rather strange doorways between different dimensions. And to travel through one, you have to fly into a black hole.
There is a theory that says that when things fall into a black hole, they get blown out the other end. The other end of a black hole is a white hole. A white hole where matter spews out.
If this theory is right, it could be that black holes are a link between a vast number of other universes.
Think of a soap bubble. We live on the skin of a soap bubble that's expanding. But if you vibrate the soap bubble, it buds. It sprouts a baby soap bubble. And all of a sudden, you have two soap bubbles. So we do think that perhaps our universe coexists with other soap bubbles, perhaps connected by black holes. And there's not a universe, but a multiverse of universes.
The President Truman, at that time, convened a very high-level committee to examine this alien or UFO phenomenon. They did come to the conclusion that it was alien, and the military rightly came to the conclusion, if they're hostile, there's nothing we can do about it. Therefore, their choice was to deny it and to hush it up.
To single out some single footage that I would bring in for congressional hearings, it would probably be Jeff Willis's tape of the Flying Dome craft. It has been analyzed enough by very high-tech equipment to say there's something there. It is metallic, and it's definitely anti-gravity type craft. Is it ours? I don't know.
Willis, a dedicated videographer, has taped several inexplicable UFOs over Phoenix, a city that many experts claim has the most UFO activity of any American city. But it's Willis's focused efforts to document strange disc-shaped craft and eerie nighttime formations that has produced some of the strongest UFO evidence on record. December 11th, 2004. In the clear blue skies above Phoenix, Willis manages to tape this disc hovering for several minutes before a strange second object streaks past it from above.
Whoa.
Watch closely as the second object seems to do a free fall dangerously close to the larger stationary disc. Then on May 24th, 2005, the 2-year anniversary of his astounding domed saucer sighting, Willis captured this enigmatic craft navigating over his house. It too appears to be a metallic device displaying unknown flight characteristics. Moving silently to the right, the UFO now appears to be 2 objects, or has split into separate parts, somehow linked together. Just a few months later, Willis videotaped this daylight disc, which incredibly turns into an orange glowing orb before vanishing behind a building. But the nighttime UFO encounters Willis managed to record during this same period are perhaps even more difficult to explain, and were witnessed by a fellow skywatcher.
On May 12th, 2005, we set up the camera equipment. So then all of a sudden I thought to myself, turn your camera on and hit the record button. For some reason, I did it. I zoomed out a little bit. Right when I zoomed out, 4 lights appeared in a triangular formation in the distance. Whoa, I'm getting a series of lights right there. I got it. 2 lights on the right of the object disappear and reappear in front of the remaining 2. Got it, Pat?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, right in that cloud and that went away.
Yeah. And then those lights go out. About a half a second later, it reappears. There it is, over the left.
Cloud jumped away.
Watch it, Pat. And that's in broad, that's right in the light.
Although the military base nearby denied it, the video shows it's possible that they were aware of this extraordinary UFO sighting, and perhaps others like it.
Sure enough, not 2 minutes after that UFO disappears, you see an F-15 circle the area.
Well, here comes the F-15 to check it out.
We were getting reports of this same phenomenon. That's the whole reason why we were up on that mountain. There was an object appearing, lights that would jump in front of each other.
The very next week, Willis and another skywatcher went to the home of a local resident who had reportedly seen different, yet equally baffling orbs repeatedly flying over his house and nearby mountain range. These dramatic events that unfolded in front of Willis's and the other witnesses' cameras have never been shown publicly.
These objects appear first 3 orbs for about 3 minutes, and then the 2 orbs on the right disappear mysteriously, and there's 1 object left. About a minute later, 3 more objects magically appear on the left of the original orb that's left. 3 of them appear at the same time above it in a triangular formation with the 1 light off to the side. At this point, we're all going crazy. We can't believe what we're videotaping. What we're seeing is amazing.
Oh, dude, did you see that? Yeah.
Yep, it's coming.
Holy
Oh.
This is nuts.
He came back.
Dude, it didn't come back. More appeared, bro.
And the original light that started disappears, and now we have a triangle formation of lights. The lead triangle light disappears. There's 2 lights left. All of a sudden, 2 more lights appear above it in the same distance as the original 2 are. So now we have 4 lights again, and the 2 on the left disappear, and now we have 2 lights. And then those 2 lights slowly disappear. And this whole sequence lasted about 6 minutes. It's some of the most amazing footage that I ever got on video, nighttime footage, and we got it on 3 different cameras.
I guess it started with my grandfather. He died in 1980 and left me all of his material and on Eric von Daniken. And Eric von Daniken's whole idea was that we were visited once before. And it was my idea that I want to try to go out and try to get proof for this. It started basically 5 years ago in Michigan, while we were living in Michigan, and I caught 1 object on video and I brought it to the airport, and no one knew what it was there, and that's how the ball started rolling. Well, on May 2nd, 1998, we were outside, my son and I were outside playing in the dirt, and I look up and I saw, and it was kind of cloudy that day, and I saw something sitting up in the clouds. So I ran real quick, my camcorder was ready to go, I came back, and I zoomed right up to it. For about 15 minutes I had this on video, but for the first 5 minutes all of a sudden it disappeared. It went from one part of the sky at least 30 miles in a split second. I zip the camera over and I catch it again. And it was just absolutely fantastic because the object is huge. It's definitely over 100 feet in diameter. I set the zoom on infinity basically and zoomed into the maximum, and it looks, it's hard to say what it looks like, but it looks like a flying saucer.
Miller was able to capture this amazing daylight UFO cluster and two orbs.
And their only comment was they have no idea what the objects are. I have no idea what I'm catching on video. If these objects are ours, military, secret projects, we're at least 1,000 years beyond our present technology that they let us know about. I personally think it's a desensitization process that our public is going through by seeing these things. Try to have your camcorder handy and ready at all times, so when you do see something, you'll catch something amazing on video, and then we all can come together and go to Congress with this, and then the public hearings could start, and the Americans could learn the truth once and for all.
And Miller is not alone in his desire to capture UFO evidence for public scrutiny. Tom Saborin, another UFO hunter, began videotaping UFOs after seeing extraordinary footage taken over Gulf Breeze, Florida in the early 1990s.
It's breathtaking. When I first seen the videos in Gulf Breeze, it made me go out and get a camera. I started going out every night and every day. I made it my job to get it on tape. It looked like a big cigarette and it was flying across the sky. It looked like 4 balls that was connected. The third ball to the end was red. The last ball white, 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 red. I think it either could be extraterrestrial or some type of new animal. I'm just a hunter. We don't want to hear about it. We want to see it.
The Gulf Breeze UFO sightings that so inspired Saborin and others to point their cameras skyward have never been explained and remain some of the best UFO incidents ever recorded. Gulf Breeze, Florida, 1987. A man living in this seaside town located near sensitive military installations delivered these startling photos to the town newspaper. Soon after, this extraordinary videotape of the same structured craft was made public. Navy optical physicist Dr. Bruce Maccabee went to Gulf Breeze to investigate.
But it wasn't until I spent a considerable amount of time analyzing it that I realized just how impressive it was. The shape, the structure, and the way it moved is not a characteristic of any craft that human beings make.
Gulf Breeze, 1993. These UFOs were caught on tape by another local resident. Look at this footage of an accelerating UFO. In slow motion, the object did not appear to be a missile or any known projectile, nor does this strange object. Here it is again in a third clip. In slow motion, the camera records a small silver streak of instant acceleration.
We don't have this type of capability for propulsion technology in existence in human science.
Redfish Point, Florida, 1993. This extraordinary cylinder-shaped UFO was recorded just outside Gulf Breeze by UFO investigator Michael Hawkins. It hovers over the beach not too far from Eglin Air Force Base.
It was scaring me, actually. You know, I'd never seen nothing like that before with any kind of structure on it. I thought maybe it might be a military craft, but after a while, I started to think that, you know, possibly it was some kind of alien probe.
Midway City, Florida, 1993. Amazingly, Hawkins managed to shoot footage of another strange object near Gulf Breeze that was also videotaped by 2 other photographers. These astonishing videos, taken from different angles, reveal an amazing Christmas tree-shaped craft hovering over a dense forest. At times, the object appears to give off dense smoke. Then suddenly, it shines an intense beam directly at the camera.
From all the tapes I've collected, I do believe that there is alien activity over Gulf Breeze.
And that's exactly what Hawkins thinks he captured on tape in this never-before-seen video shot near Gulf Breeze 2 years later, but never released until now. This craft has stunning similarities to what was seen in local newspapers and on tape at the very start of the Gulf Breeze UFO wave.
Oh man, there it is. I got it now.
After spotting the illuminated craft near Redfish Point with a few other investigators, Hawkins drives his car as far as he can before being blocked by trees.
I can't drive, man, and get to zoom in here at the same time. Get out, man. Get out.
Braving mosquitoes and thorny vines to get closer, Hawkins does everything he can to keep the portal-encircled UFO in frame. His running description is breathtaking.
I got it now. Whoa. That's it, man. That's it. That's it. Man, did you see it blink off? Oh, killer, man. We got it, man. That thing's for real. There's vines and crap. There it is. Come on, focus. Focus, focus. Check that out. Check that out. It's right over the bay. Hope we can see reference points in this video. I'm telling you. We can see reference points. I see trees. They have reference points. This thing takes off. There's no kind of video. Check that out. Check that out. It's a killer. This thing is real. It can't be no balloon. It's no balloon, man. It's no balloon. That is real. That's a real thing, dude. That is the real thing. Where the hell did it go? It's gone, man. It's gone.
Hawkins was able to videotape the bizarre craft extremely close up and had it perfectly in frame just as it seems to vanish in the blink of an eye. But whatever all these perplexing UFOs videotaped for years over America represent, there's no doubt that mysterious craft are also being recorded around the globe, and even hundreds of miles above it. These video sequences might prove once and for all that NASA knows UFOs are navigating just above the Earth and dangerously close to our space shuttle missions.
Franklin, we see a long line.
When I saw the tape, I realized that I was looking at very exciting, incredible footage that has never before been seen by the public.
David Sarita, a former Defense Department subcontractor, has been studying NASA's possible interest in UFOs for over 15 years, and he believes this incident, which has since become legendary on the internet as the Tether incident, may prove UFOs are real. February 25th, 1996, 100 miles above Africa, an experimental satellite system attached to a 12-mile-long electricity-conducting tether suddenly breaks. Within moments, the satellite drifts almost 100 miles away. Nitrogen gas gathers around the tether, effectively turning it into a gigantic fluorescent light in space. Incredibly, it seems to attract some strange company. Whatever the UFOs videotaped by NASA cameras are, there's no doubt that back down on Earth, they continue to be filmed over every major country around the globe. February 3rd, 1995. During the early morning hours, a woman tapes this mysterious craft hovering above Beijing, China. Notice how the glowing object floats, making no sharp turns or sudden maneuvers. While some dismiss the craft as a blimp, airline pilot and UFO researcher Jim Courant is not so sure.
I'm quite aware of what a blimp looks like, and these advertising blimps are in many areas around the world. And I have checked with the blimp company that supplies many of the advertising blimps. We also did a check with the control tower, the radar, military and civilian over there, and there were no registered aircraft in the area at that time, blimp or otherwise. So I'm not quite sure what it is.
The UFO.
May 29th, 1993, Stuttgart, Germany. Halfway around the world, then 15-year-old Kai Metzger recorded a craft remarkably similar to the one seen over Beijing, China.
I saw this thing and I thought, oh my God, what's that? And because of that, I took my camera and shoot it, and I was really afraid of it.
What are we to make of these unusual-looking craft videotaped in the skies above China and Germany? Are they blimps or something much more inexplicable? Dr. Bruce Maccabee believes he has the answer.
We have studied a number of videos with this sort of an image. and in some cases have been able to absolutely prove that this is an image of a blimp which has lights on the inside, a transparent skin. This shape right here matches very closely, or perhaps exactly, with the known shapes of internally lighted blimps.
Derby, England, March 13, 1995. This unidentified flying object was caught on tape for nearly an hour. The strangely shaped object was described as being completely silent. A few years later, in August 1998, a large metallic object was caught on tape again in England, this time in the village of Silbury Hill, an area famous for UFO sightings. The noiseless craft was said to hover in the sky for 2 to 3 minutes before disappearing, and then it returned, then blinked out. During a 5-month-long wave of UFO sightings in Peru in February 1999, 2 photographers captured the same imposing object on the very same evening just outside Lima. The next night, this mysterious craft was caught on tape again for a full 40 minutes as it hovered above the nearby town of Pueblo Libre. Look at this red glow on the object's underside. Later, 3 distinct white lights appear on top. Jim Courant finds the images baffling.
You have something that was so strange that anybody seeing it would have to say, I can't explain it.
Ecuador, 1995. A high school student named Victor Chiluisa managed to capture what many experts consider one of the most extraordinary UFOs ever caught on tape. In this fascinating footage, a structured, rotating craft can clearly be seen in the nighttime sky. According to Chiluisa, the craft hovered very briefly.
I was with 2 cousins, 1 friend. Suddenly we saw some red lights in the sky. 5 minutes later maybe, I went out with the camera again. This object was like a star, like a 6-point star. And I began filming it.
500 people in the city of Guayaquil reportedly witnessed this stunning close encounter. The craft, which resembles a glowing chandelier, did not appear to be any craft that Chiluisa and the others with him were familiar with.
It couldn't be a helicopter, it couldn't be an airplane, it couldn't be, well, whatever. It just could be an UFO. It was, for me, unbelievable. I was so astonished that I couldn't say anything.
Quito, Ecuador, 1 year later. A round object was spotted in the night sky. Again, the craft exhibited an elaborate array of lights. No known man-made object or aircraft looks like this. December 3rd, 1994, Monterrey, Mexico. What you are seeing is perhaps the most compelling nighttime UFO video ever caught on tape in that region. A respected UFO researcher, Santiago Itoria, shot the tape.
From the mountain emerged this huge, red glowing, very bright object. So I began filming, and we realized that it was indeed a UFO, a triangular shape, red glowing UFO, very silent, and it was very low altitude.
Look here as Itoria zooms in with his camera, focusing on its mysterious red glow.
We took 2 days reviewing the video, making analysis on the computer, and we discovered that this UFO has this kind of energy all around.
Can there be any simple explanations for the strange objects continuously being recorded around the globe and even above it? Most UFO investigators remain perplexed. Interestingly, some don't see it as a threat, but as a blessing.
We don't know what they are, where do they come from, what do they want, but we are convinced that this presence is positive to our lives.
Undoubtedly, such reverence concerning UFOs in Mexico can be traced to perhaps the most spectacular UFO event ever caught on tape in that country, or arguably the entire world. It happened on July 11th, 1991, when hundreds of people aimed their cameras skyward during a solar eclipse. This startling video was taken during the eclipse by Guillermo Arriguin, a network TV executive. It documents an eerie metallic craft with a saucer shape that was also videotaped by other videographers in Mexico City and other places throughout the country, almost simultaneously. This unprecedented mass UFO sighting during the eclipse ushered in a Mexico UFO wave that continued throughout the 1990s, as UFO watchers kept their cameras trained to the sky. Amazingly, many Mexican people are starting to believe that not only are unidentified flying objects navigating in the skies above them, but aliens are actually landing and meeting with their countrymen. December 8, 1999, as a Mexico City businessman gets dressed for work in the early morning, he spotted this unusual craft outside his window and managed to capture it on tape. Listen as he speaks to the possible inhabitants of the unknown craft.
¿Sabes qué? Llámale para alguna cosa de los medios de comunicación.
He realized that it could be some of the so-called UFOs, and it was the classic shape of the oval UFO, most of the times present in the skies of Mexico. He was very excited, and he said, "How are you, boys? How are you staying? What can you tell me about Alpha Centauri?" And suddenly the object disappeared. Maybe they didn't like the comments.
Notice the dark upper and bottom edges of the craft and the spinning movement in the middle, which seems to disturb the atmosphere around it. Whatever was floating in the Mexico City sky that morning remains a mystery. But there are some UFO cases in Mexico which, simply put, are either too good to be true or elaborate hoaxes. Incredibly, some of these even involve meetings with alleged alien beings. November 1991, Tepoztlan, Mexico. A man named Carlos Diaz managed to capture a UFO over his house. Look here as he zooms in on this strange orange object in the sky. Then, suddenly, he's somehow right on top of it, as we see sharp detail rarely seen in nighttime UFO videos.
It was like plasma, classic plasma shape with red color, red glowing color, and with these spinning movements that show that it was indeed a UFO and not another known object.
While Carlos Diaz's first videos may be impressive to some experts, many still feel that Diaz, a professional photographer, should have stopped there. Since his first videotape sighting, Diaz has managed to record many other UFOs. But some of them are simply too far-fetched and simply look hoaxed. Look at this video taken in June of 1992. Notice how the UFO suddenly appears out of nowhere, almost as if it is turned on like a light bulb. Another video taken in May of 1993 shows the craft close up. Suddenly, some strange laser beam seemingly shoots out from the bottom. But are we seeing an actual UFO or merely a part of an elaborate hoax perpetrated by Diaz? Dr. Bruce Maccabee has viewed much of the Diaz material.
This video was shot through a window in his house, and that means that there's the possibility that he could have hung something in front of the camera, just outside his house, quite easily.
But do we disregard all of Diaz's video evidence simply because some of it may not look credible?
Now, I can't say that every one of these things is not an actual unidentified flying object out there. I would tend to believe that some of them may be fabricated.
To add even more controversy, Diaz is claiming actual alien contact. He alleges that beings from another world invite him aboard their spaceships and give him messages for mankind.
Carlos Diaz told me that he was absorbed by the plasma craft in some way. So when he met the occupants, he said that they were beings of light, kind of spiritual extraterrestrials.
September 1994. In the small village of Metepec in central Mexico, a woman went public with a video showing a supposed alien being in a field next to her home. She didn't shoot it just once. She allegedly shot it twice. The alleged alien in the field videotaped in Metepec has made news headlines in several countries. But is it real? Take a look at the image. It appears to be a glowing creature of some kind. The body seems somewhat squatty. The head possibly a typical alien seen in many magazines and newspapers, as well as books. What are we to make of it? Many experts are baffled. To this day, it remains a mystery. While UFOs have been videotaped in record numbers around the world, and even above it, nowhere have there been more sightings of mysterious craft than over Israel. The inexplicably eerie UFOs caught on tape over the Holy Land are some of the most extraordinary images ever recorded. Some UFO experts even think it's possible that they are proof that extraterrestrials are keenly interested in Israel's security. September 1996. This peculiar and fascinating image was filmed by a resident of an area called Kfar Saba. When the craft first appeared, it resembled an apple with a strange top and bottom. This incredible UFO was seen again in a different configuration the next evening. After it appeared a third night, the videographer marveled at its intricate design. Look here at the many forms it seems to take. One night there are 3 lights on top. The second night only 1. The third night the light takes on the shape of a crown, and the entire object shrinks in size and turns a deep shade of orange. UFO researcher Michael Lindemann has never come across anything quite like this.
Seeing the video of this thing, I must say it's very impressive, and I can't imagine what it is. It doesn't look like any prosaic object that I can think of. It doesn't bear any reasonable resemblance to a conventional aircraft of any kind.
We showed the intriguing video to Dr. Bruce Maccabee. He offers a possible explanation for what we are seeing.
The question is this image shape actually the shape of the object, or has it been modified by the camera? If it's on automatic focus, it likely tries to focus at a wrong distance. When that happens, you get an image in which the shape of the image is related to the aperture of the camera rather than the actual shape of the object.
But how is it possible that the same individual, using the same camera, captured 3 separate images on 3 separate nights? If so, what are we really looking at? Maccabee reminds us it could be an optical illusion.
This thing right here suggests to me that the actual shape of the object has not got round things like that on it. It was a very bright light, which may well be a UFO. But the shape of the object is probably not this shape.
But this amazing flying, structured craft has no earthly explanation. It was seen over the small farming village of Kibbutz Hatzor for 3 consecutive nights in August 1996. The video, shot by a teenage boy living at the kibbutz, shows a bizarre-looking, partially lit craft with strange red markings and rectangular shapes. When the camera zooms in, we see what appears to be a light on the craft's left side take on amazing structure. A structure some say resembles a huge flying building with hallways. The young videographer and witnesses around him were completely stunned by the strange machine in the nighttime sky. As the camera continued to roll, the craft hovered above for hours. After it was caught again on tape the next night, word of the strange craft had spread, and some 60 members of the kibbutz came out to see it in all its glorious color. Though the same videographer's camera inexplicably lost power on the 3rd night, he managed to film the odd craft using a neighbor's camera. Look what he managed to capture on tape. The structure is so massive that the illuminated portion is said to represent only 5 to 7% of its actual size. Is this the design of some otherworldly architect? As incredible as it sounds, some UFO researchers claim it could be housing alien inhabitants. Giant aliens as described in the Bible.
No one has ever seen one like this before. So it was captured on 2 separate nights, 1 separate morning. Over 100 people saw it.
Barry Chamish is one of the most respected UFO investigators in Israel today. He believes that this is one of the most extraordinary UFOs ever caught on tape.
What we're dealing with Hatzor is a very large UFO. This thing is not just a round disc. This thing's got windows. It's got 2 rows of windows or vents or who knows what on earth they're shaped, because they are very odd, offbeat squares. And they managed to get a close-up of these vents. I mean, really close. You're right inside them. And they could be teeth for all you know. And you have no idea what's attacking you. But this orange structure, I believe it's energy vents or something. Something to do with venting energy.
The kibbutz is near an Israeli Air Force base, but Chamish is convinced this is no military craft.
Everything is wrong. The dimensions are wrong. The squares aren't quite squares. If it was a military vehicle, it hasn't come back. It's never been, the likes of it have never been seen ever again.
Then what was hovering above Israel for 3 consecutive nights that summer?
Obviously, if this is up in the sky, there's nothing that's supposed to be up in the sky that looks quite like that. It apparently is some object which has got that sort of a size to it in this level of blow-up. When they zoom in and get a structured image out of this, it just plain, it doesn't look like anything that I've ever seen. It doesn't look like any ordinary UFO, that's for sure, but it certainly doesn't look like an airplane or a blimp, balloons or whatever. This would have to be considered to be unknown.
These unexplainable UFOs videotaped over Israel have never been sighted anywhere else in the world. Some believe the Holy Land may hold special significance for visitors from other worlds. Even Israeli television has broadcast images of possible UFOs on the news. However, according to Chamish, the Israeli military has secretly viewed UFOs as a possible threat.
Israel has never admitted to UFOs, and I know for a fact that our Air Force is chasing them constantly. I was in the Air Force. We were ordered not to tell anyone.
This extraordinary footage may actually show a UFO being tracked by an Israeli military jet. The video was shot by a student named Gil Bar.
I got my camera and zoom in on the object, and as I zoom in, the object began to get closer or brighter, and I didn't understand what it was.
But what happened next is even more baffling. Visually, it appears as though the objects are interacting. Notice how the two seem to be checking each other out. But who is following who? Is the plane a fighter jet attempting to achieve lock-on, or awaiting further instructions from the ground? Or is the orb engaging the jet in a little fun? Finally, the two seem to cross paths before the jet flies out of frame.
It's an electronic cat and mouse game. You've got a high-flying surveillance plane throwing all this electronics on this disc, and this disc kind of bopping away from the waves or the beams. I think it was just playing with this plane.
But there was nothing playful about this dramatic UFO encounter, recorded on September 28, 1996, near the town of Rashaim, not far from Tel Aviv. Could this be a UFO being shot down, or 2 rival UFOs engaged in battle? Chamish believes the craft involved are not of this world.
We don't have things like that in anybody's Air Force. And secondly, there was no shrapnel. There's no sparks. Nothing physical exploded.
Chamish thinks that the UFOs over Israel are definitely not military aircraft, but may in fact be aliens, and their appearance may be cause for alarm.
Well, what are they here for? I think there's every reason to fear these things.
However, many UFO experts and videographers worldwide believe all governments are not doing enough to solve the UFO enigma.
I don't think that UFOs come from such a high level of mystery that we're incapable of understanding them. I think that we have yet to launch the kind of investigation that the mystery deserves.
Increasingly, self-described UFO hunters from all over the world are uniting through informal channels and the internet to share videos, as well as information.
I'm in contact with about 12 people right now that are hardcore like me. But I know there gotta be at least 50 of us. Maybe in the future it's gonna pick up as a fad or something, and there's gonna be more and more.
100,000 people had camcorders or a camera. That right there, Congress would definitely open their eyes to have a study.
Even NASA's own cameras are capturing strange disc-shaped objects that seem to demonstrate technology that might be more advanced than our own. What's more astounding is that some experts actually think that these discs could be tied to our Earth's past. and might also be memorialized in ancient artifacts.
In 1938, high in the mountains of China, archaeologists discovered these round stones with a black dot in the middle and little notches out of the side. Now, if you notice in the UFO here, we have a black hole in the middle and a little notch in the side. The discs that were discovered in China also had a carved, spiraling wave that radiated from the center of the dot all the way to the outside of the periphery. It was a perfect match. I believe that these Dropa stones were made as artifacts to record what the ancient peoples of China saw in the skies. The same thing that we're seeing on this tape.
More evidence that UFOs could have wide-ranging implications to mankind can be found in the wave of sightings caught on tape in the Holy Land. Some Israeli UFO researchers even believe these strange craft could be tied to the scripture.
It seems like every race of UFO and alien are rushing to Israel in the last 12 years. The Bible does describe what we call UFOs today.
So what are we to make of the extraordinary UFO videos recorded in Israel, around the world, and even in outer space? Could we be getting closer to answering the questions these videos increasingly raise? Some people think it's only a matter of time, and that the ever-proliferating video camera might be the tool that finally makes the ultimate difference.
Yes, I think that cameras might be a tool to prove those things. And because without cameras, you cannot shoot these things. And so no one can see your video.
If you don't have it on tape, and then it's just another story out of 10 billion stories, we want to see it on tape. We don't want to hear about it. We want to see it.
Our prospects are good, that someday, most of us may live to see the day when we understand what this really is.
Since the beginning of time, some ancient mysteries have never been solved. To take an unforgettable journey where no one has dared to go for thousands of years. Until now.
Without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his writ around this globe of ours, there is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Say the moon. Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain?
That you have written evidence that goes against human elevation or evolution is reported only by crackpots. Now this is
One of the standard techniques that the scientific community tries to use against anybody that reports something that goes against their ideas, they try to label them in a derogatory way without actually discussing the facts.
The worst thing to call somebody is crazy is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy, they're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
There are people who believe that they have a God-given right to rule over others. They believe that their outward appearance is superior to all others. They harbor selfish ambitions to be rich and to have power over what they describe as common people. They lie, cheat, steal, strangle, stab and slash their way to power. They believe that their actual willpower, what the British occultist Aleister Crowley described as the will of Thelema, the royal will, must be obeyed.
Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone.